G'day viewers, I hope you're enjoying the Festival of Rail so far, and today we're going to talk about some routes in Train Simulator Classic. Now, these aren't routes by DTG, they're not even published by DTG, so why am I talking about them? Well, because they support the railways that they actually come from. So the first one is the Durango and Silverton, which is a railway in Colorado that I rode back in about 2001. We did the full trip from Durango up to Silverton and return, and I have to say the scenery along this route is absolutely amazing. When they describe this thing as being clawed into the cliff face and it just hugs the walls and you see the big valleys down below you, they're not kidding, it's just massive. So we'll have a quick look at this route, and if you this route is a purchase route, so you do it through there's a bit of a rigmarole to actually making it happen, and you have to contact the people at the Preservation Society to get it to work, but that's okay. I'll make sure these links are available to you. The other one we're going to have a look at is the Ffestiniog and Welsh Highland route. This one is also available for Train Sim Classic. This one is donationware, and the entire proceeds, like the other one, go to supporting the railway that the route's actually modelled on. So, as they say here very clearly, all the proceeds from the sales of this route will be donated to the Ffestiniog and Welsh Highland Railway Trust. Now, one I'm not going to show you, but I just want to highlight that it's available, because I don't actually have this one yet, is the Talyllyn adventure. And this one, similarly, a whole lot goes towards the railway if you purchase this one, and it's similar to the others in that it's a reasonably faithful reproduction of the route without a lot of custom assets, and each of these usually does require some other things to be installed for it to work, but you can have a look at those on the website. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's just turn on Train Sim Classic and turn off the browser just to reduce a bit of memory. And we'll go and have a look at them. So the first one we'll have a look at is Durango and Silverton. A bunch of scenarios with it. You get Cascade Turnaround, which is quite a difficult one. You get Assembling the Consist, which is a morning of shunting. You get the run to Hermosa, and then to Rockwood, the High Line, Tacoma to Needleton, and Needleton to Silverton, the final part of the line. And of course you can make more yourself, and there is another K27 that you can fairly easily pop onto this route. So if you're familiar with TS tools, you can take the more active KS27 that actually does have a cab. So it looks okay. So we should be able to make it go. And we've got the familiar yellow carriages. And we have the open excursion carriages. Now, we rode this line in 2001, and we rode it all the way from Durango up to Silverton. It's an absolutely magic experience. When they describe this thing as clawed into the cliffside above the river, they're not kidding. It's quite an amazing run. And we've finalised, we've got the Durango green carriage. Now, we went up the hill in the open carriages. It was a little cool, so when we were coming back down again, we came down in the closed carriages, and naturally enough I stayed out on the balcony making videos, because, you know, you do. Now, as prototypically happens with this train in some parts of the route, trolleys run out in front of it and behind it. So this is reflected in the game, but not in all of the scenarios. Some of them. This one's one of them. It's got these little Fairmont trolleys. Now, they're actually part of the locomotive, funnily enough, because if you get rid of the locomotive, they disappear too. And they always stay exactly the right distance in front of you, so you don't have to worry about running into them. Americans would call these a speeder. So there's one here, and there's another one down the back behind the train. Alright, so let's get this thing going. You just got to remember not to use the cab view, because there isn't one. So let's just get this in a nice spot that'll be a bit scenic. There we go, some good scenery there. Alright, let's get this going. I am using my rail driver to control the throttle and reverser. But not the brakes, because the brakes don't agree with the rail driver. They're a very strange brake, actually. It's an emulation of a notched braking system, and it probably doesn't work as well as you might hope. So replacing this locomotive with one that's more easily controlled and that has a cab view is advisable. Now there is another KE27, which is an excellent example, so I would encourage you to use that one. We'll use the default one today. Now you will probably need to use the F4 HUD just so you know what the brakes are doing. We do have a 5 coming up, so I'm just trying to maintain control. They do apply really, really slowly. And they're quite finicky. And you will find yourself on and off the brakes in this one. Most of the routes at significantly higher speeds. I'll just show you this part and then we'll cut off to another section. Everything's reproduced as faithfully as you can expect without using dedicated assets. But even so, the overall look and feel certainly matches the real railway. See it nestled up on the cliff top there. We're just in a different spot on one of the other scenarios. We're doing a cross with a freight train at the moment. Now, it's not the fastest route on the planet because the highest speed is around 15 mile an hour. Going up a fairly steep up gradient, so I've just given it some more reverses so it's got a bit more power. And Silverton's been running since the 1800s, I believe, 1880. And it was arrived in Durango in 1881 and arrived in Silverton only a year later in 1882, despite the harshness of the terrain. So a huge effort. It's currently restored and operated by American Heritage Railways. And we're at the water stop at Needleton, and now we have to try and get going up this rather steep incline, so let's have a crack at that. In this scenario, we'll take a bit of a look at what it looks like in winter. So we have to go and set some switches and back this train up on the Y. We're at Cascade, and we need to start heading back down the hill towards Durango. The premise of the scenario is the storm is getting really bad. So we've just got to set this switch, and we'll just come around and check the other one around here on the Y. That is also set against us, so let's just set this one. If we go back round to the locomotive and go all the way into reverse, just put the F4 HUD on so you can see what's going on. Release our brakes and back her up. Drop in a bit of sand to help her out. Set these points, and we'll just fly around here and set these ones as well, if they're not already, and they're not, of course. Back to our locomotive. There you go, there's a little taste of the winter outlook on the Durango and Silverton. To finish up, I will take us back down the bottom of the hill to Durango so you can see what that looks like. So drop in a bit of sand to help her out. These points, and we'll just fly around here and set these ones as well, if they're not already, and they're not, of course. Back to our locomotive. Right, we are sitting here in the Durango depot. You can see there's a bit of shunting going on. We're still loading our people up. It seems a little counterintuitive that you're facing this way when Silverton's the other way, but the track actually goes all the way around the yard here. Forward, apparently. Alright, we can head out. Release the brakes. Alright, this pretty much brings us to the end of our little look at the Durango and Silverton. So we will leave this one here, and we'll go and have a look at the Welsh Highland now. So it's just a cool route that supports the Durango and Silverton Railway. Alright, on to the Ffestiniog and Welsh Highland Railway now. Durango and Silverton came with 5 or 6 scenarios. This one is a lot richer in what you get for the cash, and you really don't pay very much for this route at all. Now, you do need the original Settle and Talyllyn installed to get a lot of the scenery assets, otherwise you'll see milk bottles everywhere, which means missing asset. But you do get quite a bit for it. So you get the locomotive Blanche with 2 scenarios. You get the locomotive David Lloyd George with 1 scenario, shunting at the port. And that's a double-ended Fairley, which is kind of cool. We have the locomotive FR Mountaineer, which has got rather a few scenarios. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenarios. We have the FR Gravity Wagon, which you can ride down. This is something that they do regularly. I'm not sure if they'll let the public ride this thing, but they do ride the gravity train down the hill. We get the Merden Emrys locomotive, which is another double Fairley. Double Fairleys are unique in that they're 2 locomotive boilers, back-to-back, single firebox, and some of them have 2 fireboxes, but they're still run by the same fireman. And essentially what's 2 locomotives, one going backwards, one going forwards. We have 4 scenarios for that one. We have another one for the Merden Emrys, and we have Talyllyn, I hope I spelled that correctly, little tank locomotive, and we have 3 for that. We have the Garretts. Now these Garretts are same as the South African Garretts that I actually run on the railway that I work on. So these are kind of cool. And we've got 3 Garretts, and in total 5 scenarios across the different Garretts. Start by opening the doors for departure. You'll be leaving for Porthmadog by 11:15. Alright, so let's just have a look at our status of this machine. So we've got some brakes on, everything else is fine. Let's get the doors open. Awful lot of people getting out. Amazing how many people fit in this little tiny train. So the Garretts are quite well represented. The other locomotives are as well when you have a look at those. So these are NGG 16 locomotives. And they're running on just under 2 foot gauge, which is quite impressive. They do have a fully operational cab that you can use. You can run all of the controls. I'm going to use the rail driver for mine, so let's get the brakes off. And let's get out of here. Start heading up the hill. Now there are a lot of assets that have been specifically built for this route. long train for such a little railway, but certainly quite a difficult. It's the Pullman observation, and the seating position for passengers is in fact inside the Pullman observation, which is kind of cool. Nice view of the line. Do quickly come out into the more open countryside. It's got a variety of pre-recorded whistles. The different Garretts have different whistles too. Well, looks like she misses the train. Alrighty, that's enough of the Garrett in this end of the line. Let's go and look at something else. Righto, we're out here at Porthmadog, so let's get the doors open. Just while we're loading up people, there's rather a lot of detail to this area, so let's just have a quick look. Quite a few dedicated assets specifically for the place. It's the main station building. We have got a operative water and coaling tower here, so you can use these, and you do use them in at least one of the scenarios. Nice little port area over here. Right away, next stop Minford. Don't forget to take on water. Good-o. I do have to say that the quality of the rolling stock in this is absolutely amazing. And they do have a very satisfying thump to them. Some good bass sounds. We do have fully operational cabs in these locomotives as well. Area that's terrifically modelled, the locomotive sheds. You've got most of your available fleet sitting over here, ready for you to use. Couple more fairlies sitting over here. People certainly dress up to ride the rails here, that's for sure. This is a great experience. hoping this whole train will fit in the platform, because there's a red signal up there near the locos. And of course we're in Wales, where 1F is never enough. Oh, the red signal's to the other way. Not a problem. Apparently that's filling up my locomotive. But anyway, that's probably enough of the Ffestiniog and Welsh Highland Railway. Down here and have a look at the other little train that's sitting here, which appears to be double-ended. Next stop, Talyllyn. We won't be going there today. It's a double-ended train, locomotives on each end, unusual for Train Sim Classic. People standing on the tracks, not unusual for anywhere though, because, you know, people are just, well, yes, not very clever sometimes, and sometimes Darwin gets them, but that's okay. So we can sit here, we'll pop up the other end, we'll send our train out, since he's all filled up with water now apparently. And that'll finish up this video with this quick look at the route for the Welsh Highland Railway in Ffestiniog. And I'll make sure there's links to the pages for you to get these, the two routes we've looked at today, should you desire to. And remember that they're not commercial. You do pay for them, but the proceeds go to support the railways. So, good stuff. Great way to bring some content out for Train Sim Classic and for people's enjoyment, and to support the railway itself. So I hope you've enjoyed this video as part of the Festival of Rail, and thanks to Dovetail, particularly JD and Alex and Jan and Jamie for facilitating, and I hope you've got some other interesting content coming up next. Alright, I am Train Simulator Driver. You can find me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/trainsimulatordriver, funnily enough, all one word. Anyway, enjoy yourselves. We're signing off now from Minford, where 1F isn't enough and double D is the way to go. Alrighty, see ya!
We played a game.